Hello, thank you for joining me today. Today we're going to talk about genres. What do we read, what we don't read, what we like, what we don't like, and so on and so forth. So this is actually the genre book tag. The tag was created by Harriet, Rosie, and I was tagged by Shannon from That's So Po. So I'm going to link their channels and their videos below. This tag is it's a very short one. It only has 7 questions. But I think for me, it's very interesting to do this tag now at the beginning of the year, especially because I have my end of year review video so fresh still in my mind. So I have a good overview over what did I read last year, what did I enjoy, what did I didn't enjoy, maybe what should I focus on, so on and so forth. So let's just start with the first question, and that is, what is your favorite genre? And I have, I think, more than one. I feel that I read really broadly and diversely, but I think the favorites that I really can say that are really favorites are, I think, for the first, I would like to mention fantasy, because I feel like the fantasy is just a genre and the book I go to when I really want to immerse myself and forget about the world. And it's just like, I really like being transported in a whole other universe with different magic system, different, just a whole different planet and whole different kind of people and way of life. And it just, for me, it's just such an adventure. And I like that they are twisty and plotty and turny and just so many. It's like there's no limit to the imagination when it comes to creating a fantasy world. And I really enjoy them. I think I've read so many different types, and I think I enjoy most of them. I would also say that I enjoy nonfiction, and especially memoirs. I've done a video last year with 10 memoirs I read, and looking back at all the memoirs, I think I enjoyed most of them. I think I like listening to them, especially because most of the time it's narrated by their authors, and it's just a whole new experience when the author themselves narrate it. So I would say memoirs. Then I would also say I like literary fiction and I like classics. And if we go a bit towards fantasy-ish, SFF, I would also say I like dystopian fiction and I like post-apocalyptic fiction. And then just a little mention, historical fiction. So yeah, I can't say I have one favorite genre. But if I have to choose one, here I would say fantasy. It's just because that's what I read most in the last 3 years. So who knows what's going to happen in the next 3. The next question is my least favorite genre. And here I would say I cannot really pinpoint a genre itself, but from what I read, maybe a subgenre. So here I would say contemporary romance. There's just something about it that it really doesn't appeal to me. I like other types of romances. I also don't like detective stories, crime novels, and it's just such a shame because I live in Scandinavia, and here, I mean, this is the place to be for, like, everyone reads these krimis and everyone reads these detective stories, and just like it's such a big part of the literary world and the reading world here. Question number 3 is a genre I want to try, and here I want to say horror. I think I mentioned this in some other videos as well, just because every time I read a mystery thriller with a horror vibe, I really feel that it doesn't really get into horror as much as I would want to. But I'm a bit apprehensive as to go really into this genre, because I tried, for example, to read The Only Good Indians last year, and it didn't work for me. And maybe that was because I tried the audiobook. The other thing is that I feel that I wouldn't really like very gruesome and very scary horror in a way. I know that I hate horror movies, and I could not watch one to the end, because I would just be hiding behind a pillow or something. So I don't know, something a bit less horroristic, maybe. I still feel that here I need to just read a bit so to see what I would like. So if you have some recommendations, please let me know. Question number 4, a genre I don't want to try. And here I would say mainly 2, and I would say here poetry and comic books. And it's just because I don't know, I just don't feel at home in the poetry world, and maybe it's just me and I should just try a few, but I just don't know. I feel like, you know, when you were at school, you learned so much your country's poetry and your poets and such, and I never felt connected to that for some reason. The other thing, the comic books, I tried to read a few and a few graphic novels as well. I would say that as well, next to comic books. It's just not for me. I really want to immerse myself in a story, read at least 150, 200 pages, and just the format itself, I don't know, maybe I'm just not a very visual person in that way, just to read a comic book or a graphic novel. Question number 5, a genre I'm not sure about. And here I wrote 2. And first of all, I've tried both of these genres, and I will continue picking up books in these genres because they can be hit or miss. So for once, I was a bit unsure whether to put mystery thriller in here, but I'm putting it still because even though I do read mystery thrillers, it's never a genre I gravitated to before maybe 2019. I don't feel that it was a genre I really felt like I want to read. Just like I felt maybe I want to read historical fiction and so on and so forth. Now I'm reading more mystery thrillers and I enjoy them, but it's not at the same level of enjoyment as for example the favorite genres I talked about. So I'm a bit unsure here. The other one is magical realism. And I've read a lot of books which are within this genre, subgenre, and it's just, I think it's in a similar way to poetry. It's just not for me because it's not the universe, my universe. And I think that also has to do with the fact that I really enjoy fantasy, epic fantasy. And epic fantasy compared to magical realism is just similar but not so, and I just feel that like the two don't blend so well. I don't know. I had some magical realism books I enjoyed, but I feel that the magical realism maybe was tied into another subgenre, so maybe that makes it more palatable to me. But yeah, I would say these two. The next question is a genre blend you love. And here I have to say that I love romance books which are combined with other genres. So romance combined with historical fiction, or romance combined with urban fantasy. And here for this latter one, I specifically think about the Ilona Andrews books I read last year, which I binge read like 5 of those, 5 in a series in rapid succession, and it's the Hidden Legacy series, and this is just such a guilty pleasure for me. These are so easy to read and they're just so addictive. I used to read a lot of romances growing up, so maybe that's why I like to return to that. And also I would feel that I would really enjoy, and here I haven't really tested the waters, so to speak, so much, but I feel that I would really love horror also combined with other genres like dystopia or post-apocalyptic or something, because I remember I read Wilder Girls by Rory Power, and I really loved that one, and that is like a dystopian world combined with horror elements, and there's just a whole mystery to it as well, and I really enjoyed it. I feel like it's because of the atmosphere of these books that I feel drawn to. And the last question is like, name a genre-defying book, and I will name 2 here. First of all, I read Kazuo Ishiguro's The Buried Giant, which I really enjoyed because I feel that it was so tender in the way it described an elder couple who goes out to find their sons, and they're kind of shunned in the community they live because they're so old they can't really take care of themselves anymore, so they go on this epic journey, and it's this Arthurian world, and there are dragons and there are knights, and just so is so atmospheric. But most of all, I was drawn to this book because of these main characters. And I would not say that this book is fantasy at all. I would say that this is literary fiction. And if I wouldn't have known Kazuo Ishiguro and his writing and his style, I would have thought that this is a fantasy. And going into this book as a fantasy, I would have been disappointed. Also, looking at the reviews on Goodreads, a lot of people are disappointed because they feel that they wanted to read a fantasy and this isn't it, and it's not. And the next book is again ties into this other one, this The Buried Giant as well, because I read also and was disappointed by Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. Everyone is like, this isn't a post-apocalyptic dystopian book, and I was like, wow, I love that genre, I'm gonna read it. And this was, for me, this was a literary fiction. It was a blend of two, of course, but I would categorize it more as literary fiction. And maybe if I would have researched it better, maybe if I would have watched more reviews, even though I've seen a lot of reviews on BookTube, but if I would have paid a bit more attention, I would have went into this book, I would have started reading it knowing that this is more of a literary novel, and then maybe I wouldn't have been so disappointed by it. I don't know. I feel like you really have to know when you go into a book what you're gonna read or what you're gonna get, because yeah, just to avoid this disappointment. But now I know how she writes and that she's more like a literary writer. So I think if I pick up her next book, I will be much better prepared. But please tell me if you also experience this in a similar way. I think it's so interesting looking back at why I didn't like these books or why other people don't like it, especially regarding these two I mentioned. Yeah. So yeah, these were all the questions. Let me know which genres do you prefer, or whether you have a genre you really want to focus on this year. I feel like for me, sci-fi is a genre I really didn't pay much attention to, but I feel that this could be also one of my favorites if I gave it a go. I think this year I'll probably read Dune, because I've been meaning to read that book for a couple of years. And especially now with the series coming out. Where is it? HBO? I think it's on... No, I don't think it's on HBO. I think it's on Apple TV. I'm not sure. But it just looks... The visuals look so good. But I guess this is it for me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.